All right, welcome back to TML Weekly. This is episode 20. As always, brought to you by our friends at Bjorn and Don Cherry Sports Grill. This should be a fairly positive show today, as the Leafs aren't giving us much to complain about recently. To lead in the show, I think we just need to give a few special shout-outs. First one goes to John for predicting a perfect 6 for 6 points in last episode's point prediction segment. And the second one goes to Ridley Gregg and Morgan Riley for giving the Leafs a much-needed spark that's helped them string together 7 straight wins. John, what do you think?
Well, I'd like to thank my parents in the academy for giving just what the Leafs have been playing great, man. There's not a lot to complain about. I love what I've seen so far. Really, if we're going to be honest about it, we can go back to probably those at home and home against Winnipeg, where we started to really see a shift. In the defensive commitment of the team. Now, granted, the Morgan Riley incident seems to have sparked us. And we're going to get into a lot of other things tonight. What I don't want to get lost, and what I feel like I have to say is, while we're complimenting this team on great play and how well we're playing, I want to remind everybody that this is the same team that was struggling early on and couldn't get out of their own way. And so the changes that have been made now are fantastic, but I think this is a bit of an indictment on the coach. And I think we all need to take a step here and go, either the guys weren't listening to the coach before and were doing their own thing, or they were playing the game the way the coach wanted it to be played. One of the two, because the team that showed up since the Winnipeg series is not the same team we've seen at any point in time before this. So that is my weekly reminder that we need a better coach on this team. And outside of that, it's going to be an all positive show, I promise.
Yeah. How many 32 coaches have won a cup?
All I can tell you is he's the fifth longest tenured coach in the league.
Yeah.
4 coaches above him, 3 have cups, 2 of them have multiple cups. One of them's got a Jack Adams, and they've all got more than twice as many wins as he does in the playoffs. That's all I can tell you.
I don't care how many wins they have in the playoffs. That's irrelevant.
I feel like if you're an owner, you want playoff gates. The owner should care how many playoff wins.
Well, that's what you're worried about, playoff gates, or you're worried about winning?
Well, if I'm winning, I'm getting playoff gates.
Okay, and I get it. I get the business side of it, but at the end of the day, it's a brand new team from last year. It's not the same team. So until the playoffs start and we see what these guys can do. I thought he was gone. I thought he lost the room. And it's like I said last week, there's instances in every season that, make you go north or south or sideways. And the Ottawa game and the incident and losing Riley kind of, you got a lot of guys coming out of that are looking really good, really, really, really good. 3 that come to mind: McMann. He was playing okay, but that he really stepped it up. And then Bertuzzi and Domi, they're playing the way that you expected them to play coming in. So I got nothing but positive things to say about everybody involved. I think they're in a really good spot. I don't think this is the last few years they played like this at certain points of the year, but it was usually earlier.
Yep.
Right now you're kind of getting into March. It's a good time if you can. I mean, you're not gonna win the next 30 or 25 or whatever you got left, 28. But you know what? You gotta segment it up and get those 4 out of 6 points every 3 game, and you're fine. You're in a real good spot. We were talking a couple weeks ago that is this team even going to make the playoffs?
Yeah,
yeah, they are. right? They're a good hockey club, and I think they're, they're going to have to iron out the goaltending stuff. But like I've said all along, doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter who's in there if these guys play the right way. It really doesn't. So if you have one A and one B, and then another guy that can, if somebody goes down, there's lots of options for you. So I'm positive. I think it's going to be a tough one tonight. Vegas is going to come in, ready, and we'll see. We'll see if they can keep rolling. They've got what do they got this week? Vegas, Phoenix. Who else?
Rangers,
Vegas, Arizona, New York, Rangers, and then Boston on Monday.
Yeah, so
all at home too.
That's a pretty tough week, other than the Arizona game, right?
Well, and Arizona always plays us tough too. Like regardless of what we did in Arizona, I mean,
none of these points are going to be gimmies. But
no, 100%.
But when you go 7 in a row, right now you can afford a 2 or 3 game slide if you get back to where you're going to be. It's going to happen. But I think they're having fun. I've liked seeing the belt at the end of the game and the pictures that they're posting now. It's pretty cool they look like they're having fun.
It's a loose room. It looks like a loose room right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps when you talk about instances when your captain, what else is he going to do? Right? Is he going to squawk because he's not on the second line? Or
so no. I got to say this because this has driven me nuts all week. I'm reading all of these posts from different people talking about, oh, you know what? Isn't it so great that Tavares has agreed and Tavares is allowing this to happen?
I agree.
Everybody's got to call a timeout on this kinder, gentler world where we're going to Tavares, on bended knee saying, please, sir, would you mind if we were able to move you? You know what? I want to remind everybody, we like what Tavares has done this last 10 days. Nobody's going to get on Tavares for the way that Tavares has played the last 10 days. Nobody is. But just a reminder, Tavares had not scored 5-on-5 since the middle of November. Okay, so the idea that Tavares was steamrolling along and that all of a sudden we were just pulling him back, it's folly, it's irrelevant. This move should have been made beginning of January, as far as I was concerned. I've been saying forever that Tavares should not be on that second line. Anybody that's watched us for any length of time knows that. That being said, what I love about the way that Tavares is playing right now is he's taken a forward in Nick Robertson, who, again, I never thought got a fair shake from the coach, but is making Nick Robertson look like a legitimate NHL winger. And what this kid is doing with Bobby McMatthews, my God, Bobby McMatthews looks like he's going to be the second coming. So let's, instead of applauding Tavares for the great leadership and sportsmanship and all that nonsense that doesn't mean anything, let's talk about what he's actually done on the ice. And what he's done on the ice is take 2 young players and provide them with a boatload of confidence, and really elevate their play, which really is giving us third line scoring, which is what we haven't had all year. And go figure, the third line is scoring, means the second line is scoring. Matthews is doing whatever the heck I don't know what Matthews is on this year, but give him more. All of a sudden, that allows your fourth line to be really a checking, grinding effort line that doesn't have to play, possession game and, worry about every 10th mistake because, something's going wrong. So I'm a big fan. I would have loved for it to have happened earlier, but I'm a big fan of the way that Tavares has played the last little bit. And frankly, I think it's going to be great for Tavares because Tavares all of a sudden is not playing against the second line center. He's playing against a third line center. And, while Tavares might not have the wheels, I mean, he's never really been a great skater, if we're being honest, but while he might not have the wheels anymore, he's still got the brain and he's still got, the hands.
He never had the wheels. He was never.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Right.
Yeah.
And so, are we surprised at his age that, he's having trouble keeping up on the end? No, probably not. So
great face-off man, great shot.
Yeah, listen, but again, nobody ever complained about Tavares taking faceoffs. Nobody ever complained about Tavares killing penalty. Like everybody was okay, right? It's the contract that everybody hates versus the production and the wear down of that production. So I mean, now listen, is it great that you got an $11 million play in the third line? Yeah, probably not. But it is what it is at this point. We're making the best of it. And if we're winning, I think we can all sit there and agree and go, I don't care if he's making $38 million on the fourth line. If we're winning, he's winning, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. And then just to touch on Robertson, I mean, Nick Robertson's had ample opportunity over the last 3-4 years to play as well in this lineup. He just keeps getting past. He just keeps getting past like the McManns and the Pontus Holbergs and all these other guys that just kind of come up and they don't have the pedigree and they don't have the junior numbers. They don't, and he's going. I think he's going this deadline.
You said that for a while, though, right? Like, to be fair, you've been saying that for a while. That we should expect him to go.
He's not fitting in here, right? I mean, you know what? I think he's a useful player. I think, a lot of guys like that might just need a change of scenery. But he's been given the opportunity. He's been given the opportunity.
So for me, and I'm not gonna say he hasn't been given opportunity. I think this is just my take on it. Is he's been given the opportunity. He's been hurt, right? And I think it's more injuries that have kept him from excelling than anything else. But part of being a pro athlete is being available, right? You got to be available to play. If you're not available to play, it doesn't matter how good you are.
And I can assure you, it's not Keith not liking it, right?
I do.
It's a win, and if Nick Robertson can help you win a hockey game, Nick Robertson is going to get ice time.
I mean, I hear you say that, John, but at the same point in time, like let's talk about TJ Brodie. TJ Brodie looks like about 15 years younger playing on the right side or on the left side. So the question is, if we're talking about this coach who's in the business of winning and is not going to, do things that are contradictory, I don't know why it's taking you 57 games to figure out maybe play Brodie where he should be playing instead of forcing him on that line with Riley. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, but he's had some success in the past there too. Right.
Okay, but it hasn't been successful this year, is what I'm saying. Right? And everybody has roasted TJ Brodie all year long. And we listen, and we're not diminishing the personal struggles and things that are going on in TJ Brodie's life. That's completely different from this. But on the ice, he struggled. And so for a guy who's, as you say, John, in the business of winning, I don't know. You've changed. That man juggles lines like, the Ringling Brothers circus. But every night, regardless, it was Morgan Riley and TJ Brodie. Didn't matter what.
Again, what's the goal? The goal is to be ready when you start the playoffs to succeed. So whether it happened in game 57 or it happened in game 2, who gives a shit? They're locked in. They're going to the playoffs. If he finds the winning formula on the 81st game of the year, right? As long as you're getting in, perfect.
Yeah, I guess so.
We can't focus. They're there, right? I say it every week. We can't forget about that. Let it go. Look at what's going on today and how it's going to affect the team moving forward, right? That's my take on it. He's figured it out, and if that's one of the things, and just moving some guys around and Tavares, bumping down a notch in the lineup, there's so many different things are happening based on, but it's all positive. Like they're starting to win. They have swagger. That group's having fun. Mitch Marner, prior to the All-Star game,
good point.
I he didn't look like he wanted to be a hockey player, and I know the kid's passionate about the sport.
Yeah,
but the BS from the media and the even the fan group, things aren't going. Everybody says that goes to Toronto. Hey, best place in the world to play if it's going good, but worst place by far if it isn't. And Marner has had the weight. I mean, if we go back and look at some of our old shows, we were discussing what's going on with Marner. He was still a point a game guy. And we were like, oh, he's not, he should be a point and a half. And, he's not, blah, blah, blah. He's not gelling with, And now, I mean, he's all world right now.
So,
right?
But let's, I just want to press pause on it because I think it gets lost that when you sign the ticket, you get that. I'm sorry, man. When you're going to hold out and you're going to say, I'm an $11 million hockey player, right? You're making almost 3 times what the average NHL salary is. So the expectation at the bare minimum is that you're going to be performing at 3 times what the average NHL player would. And so when you don't do that, you avail yourself to criticism. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I hear this all the time from people talking about how hard it is to play in Toronto. And listen, Toronto's not for everybody, but I'm a Yankees fan. Ask Giancarlo Stanton what it's like to play in New York, making $280
for sure.
Right? Ask a guy who's playing for Manchester United when they're struggling what it's like to play in Manchester. Anytime that you have a passionate fan base that actually gives a flying you-know-what about their team, it's going to be hard. And when things are going good and you're performing, ask Wendell Clark and Doug Gilmour never won a cup. But you know what they always did? They gave up. You never doubted while they were on the ice that they were killing themselves to win. Never doubted it. And for that reason, anywhere in this city, anywhere there's a Leaf fan in the country, you bring up Wendell Clark and Doug Gilmour, people always say if they ever came in, boy, they'd never have to buy a drink. You know why? Yeah. People resonate with that. When you hold out and you say, I'm that player, I'm that guy, and I don't care what the rationale or I don't care what the reason is, but you're not quite there. You might be a really good guy, but you're not an $11 million guy. I'm sorry, as a pro athlete in 2024, you deserve the critique that you get when you sign the ticket. That's my take.
Wow. You're talking apples and oranges because, first of all, there wasn't any mass media like there is now. There wasn't internet. When Wendell and Dougie came up, the paper would come out the next morning and there was no chat rooms. There was no, people. There was no
guys at the bar. Yeah, it was guys at the bar.
Yeah, it's an absolute different world. Stats weren't kept like they are now. You got all these keyboard warriors that think they know advanced stats and they're talking about goddamn Corsi numbers, and the guy can't. The guy saying it can't skate backwards. It's hockey. Hockey hasn't changed. You're bang on. You got to go out there and you got to give the effort on the ice. And if everybody toes the same rope, your team, and you have the right group, you're gonna have some success. Right. That's the only thing that's the same with the, Dave Keon and Wendell Clark and some of these guys that played before, there's just some goofy stuff that, I told you guys this one there, Marner was, they were in the playoffs. I think it was last year, maybe the year before. And Marner belongs to a private golf course in Toronto. And, some joker thought it would be a funny thing to put Marner's name on a tee sheet. I don't know whether it was the morning of a game or the morning.
It was right after we got eliminated.
It was what was it? Yeah, it's something. Anyway, Marner wasn't even at the golf course. So they put this guy puts him on the tee sheet and then takes a picture of the tee sheet and then tweets it. Now you got 3/4 of Toronto. Mitch Marner doesn't care about winning, and Wendell never had to deal with that, right? Dougie never had to deal with that, and I'm just saying that that's the past again. Now we're getting to a point where they're having fun. I saw Marner at the All-Star game, and I go back and him with the media. It was fantastic, and his play is indicative that he's having fun right now. right? He's having fun. They're not dreading going to the rink, like they were around Christmas time when we were talking about it on this show. Is Sheldon going to be, walked off the plane tonight on the way? Like it was close.
Christmas never came.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe it did, and you just don't know it. Right?
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm in.
Sometimes less is more, John. Really, you've got a group that clearly in the last 7 games they played some big playoff style hockey.
John, I'm going to go. Let's go one step further. I'm going to give you more credit here. I'm going to say it's more than 7 games. I'm going to say it's the last 15.
Yeah, they're playing the right way most of the time.
Yeah, on the whole, listen, I think we're in agreement on the whole, right?
So that makes it fun, right? That makes it fun because you're not getting death threats and hearing, every moron in Toronto telling you, oh, they got to do this to the power. You know what? These guys the guys that they have involved have been around the game a long time, right? All of them. And they know if it's time to change the power play or change the lines, they're gonna explore that, and they found that formula that I think is gonna, there's gonna be hiccups, right? It's hockey, but if they can keep this structure in place and play the game the right way, and then they're keeping it simple, they're not overcomplicating it. They're zipping it around. They're getting the puck to the net. It's on their stick in their zone, and it's getting out.
Pucks on the glass and out of the end. Right?
You're confident from the back end out because that the real good first pass coming out from all the guys, right? It's getting out. The puck's not touching the Leafs in the D zone 5 times before they get it out anymore, and that's what was happening. Now it's getting out. Right. So, get it out, get it deep, and get it to the net. And then you got Matthews. We haven't but
hold on. Before we get to Matthews, I'm going to ask you, John, purely from a coaching perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. What have you seen with this team that is different with our defensive zone commitment? Because for me, I'm looking at this team and I'm noticing that we're not going 3 guys behind the net. Guys are positionally sound, right? I feel like when we were in trouble in the beginning of the season, a couple of those Chicago games, middle of December, it was like you'd have 4 guys over on one side in the corner, and then the puck would squeeze out, and there'd be 2 guys alone in front of the net having a cup of coffee talking to each other. Right now, I feel like there's buy-in. Do you see that? If you're looking at it from a pure coaching perspective, what are you seeing?
What I'm seeing is I've seen that they've simplified it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story. Last Monday, there's 2 teams that I'm involved in. I'm coaching one of the groups. They're 7-year-olds. So we've got Team Atlantic, and we're going to Montreal and Toronto and I think Vancouver with that group. So I'm the head coach. I brought these kids in from all over Atlantic, Canada on Family Day last Monday. And most of them, because they're all still U9, right? They're first year U9, like novice. And there's no full ice hockey anymore, right? That's half ice hockey. So I got to get these kids out. Some of them play in a private academy that they play at, 1 or 2.
Novice is all half ice hockey?
All half ice, yeah.
What are we doing in this country?
8 and under is half ice right across the country. Some provinces have rules that they can play after Christmas. They can play full ice games. Anyway, so most of these kids that I have play in some sort. They play in the summer or spring. Anyway, so I broke it down. I had a couple hours with this group to get them ready to go and play against the best players in North America in a month in Montreal. So I broke it down, and so what I did was I drew. If you're looking at my screen, as the D zone, I went up and then I went right across. Okay, and I said, okay, up here, our goalie's down here, right? Our goalie's at the bottom. So I said, okay, left winger, what? I put it into 4 quadrants. Okay, left, right, So I said, left winger, what's your responsibility if the puck's over here? And then the left wingers, he's in that quadrant. Their right D's his mark up. And then I did it for all the players. Center iceman, you're going to just kind of be in all quadrants because your responsibility is to have a little bit of back pressure on the puck if you're actually not on the puck, right? So you're going to be, going everywhere. I said, but if everybody else stays in their spot and plays the game the right way, and then the other thing I added to it, and this is 7-year-olds, and I don't think Sheldon Keefe's conversation with the Leafs would need to be too much different. I really don't. It's a very simple game defensively in your own zone, way simpler than you think. And the one thing that I taught this to a bunch of 7-year-olds last Monday is I said, when you're in the D zone, I said, your toes need to always face the puck. So I don't care if you're the left winger that's on the right point man, that's fine, but you're not staring at the right point man, right? With your toes facing the other end. Your toes and your eyes are looking at the puck, and you're in between where the puck is and where it could possibly go to get to the guy that you're covering, right? Centerman, toes are on the puck, right? Defenseman, either you're in the corner, toes are on the puck, or you're in front of the net and you're watching the puck, right? So it's something. It's going back to basics, and I think if I had been Sheldon going into this conversation, and
Johnny, we would have won 2 cups by now if you were Sheldon.
Wow, I don't know about that, but I mean, just keep it simple. The rink shape, the rules haven't changed in 75 years. Little subtle things, but you got that much ice, right? There's 2 blue lines and a red line and face-off dots. So, don't try to reinvent it. There's a lot of guys that'll come out and try this crazy. There's a lot of pressure, D-zone coverages where a lot of times where they'll engage a second guy on the puck. But what all that does is, depending on who you're playing against, if they have skill and real good wall presence, they're gonna jump all over that, because as soon as you engage that second guy, somebody's open.
Shift over 100%.
Yeah, somebody's open. So that's why guys like, if you look at the real skilled guys in the National Hockey League, you look at McDavid and you look at McKinnon and you look at, I'm talking forwards.
Yeah.
Matthews, Marner for sure. Matthew Tkachuk I'd put in that group. What these guys have, they can all shoot the puck. They skate well. It's that the ability to take a guy one-on-one in the corner, protect the puck from him, force somebody else on that team to sort of, join, right, and leave his post for a double coverage. And these guys are so good that they can actually handle 2 guys and find the guy.
Find the open guy.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say Crosby, because he made his career doing that. He would just, weave, couple punch turns, staying low, keeping his body between the puck and the opponent, and then somebody else engages, and then he finds the guy that guy left, and it's in the back of the net, right? So that's the difference right now. I think they're keeping it stupid, or keeping it simple.
Simple.
KISS, keep it simple, stupid. We were taught that when I was a kid, right?
You can't say that anymore, though, John. That could hurt somebody's feelings.
I know. But, at the end of the day, they've simplified it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I said earlier, the puck is on their stick and it's getting out. They know where their options are. If those options aren't available, it's getting out. The teams above 50% on draws, they'll take that icing. They'll take that high off the glass and down, right? If you get pinned a little bit, this is a good possession team, right? I'm okay with that. And they're actually doing that now. And I think they were afraid to do that early in the season. So the defenseman would try to overplay and make a play that wasn't there. And then it gets turned over, and then, you give them enough chances, it's going to.
And then fear seeps in too, right? Fear of the mistake seeps
in.
Right,
yeah. So I said, I don't want to go to the bench and get screamed at, because my coach is afraid he's going to lose his job tonight because everybody says he's getting fired, right? So everything that's happened lately brings a team to a point where, guys that were playing horseshit hockey a month ago are NHL All-Stars now. We haven't even talked about goaltending because whoever's been in there, it doesn't matter. I've been saying it all year. It doesn't matter.
It
Play
it
the
does
right
matter.
way.
It does matter if you're Ilya Samsonov from middle of December.
Right.
Who was
He's getting
terrified of the puck.
confidence. He's getting confidence, but he's getting it. He's not getting it because he's playing great. He's getting it because the guys are, not giving up at what they were giving up when he was in his big slump, right? So that gives him confidence.
Okay. Listen, and for those people, and by the way, we're sponsored by Don Cherry Sports Bar and Grill. But for those of you that are watching, if you'll notice what John said, it sounds an odd. Listen, I grew up on my Saturday nights watching Coach's Corner. Okay, Kara and I, we do our show. It's Coach's Corner with Kara Grace because of grapes.
Yeah,
everything you just said sounds an awful lot like what Grapes would be saying if he was on every Saturday night. He would be saying, you take a look. If there's not a play up on the glass, you get the puck out, and then reevaluate. Come back. If you take the ice, you take the ice. You take a breath, you come back, you regroup, you win the faceoff, you control the puck, and you go back out again. Right? I'd be remiss if I didn't give Grapes a shout out because I feel like everything you just said is exactly what Don Cherry would be saying.
Well, I mean, he keep it simple. He always said that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't overcomplicate the game. It's
not a hard game.
You got to be big and you got to be strong and you got to work hard and you got to want it more and you got to get pucks to the net and you got to get it out of your zone. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. I used to have to, I used to coach at at the junior level and everybody was all big into stats and they'd say to me, what stats do you want? And I said, well, you know what? I could probably tell you within 2 at the end of every period, within 1 or 2 on both teams, how many shots. I'll tell you. I don't need you to count it, and I'm not counting it. But I can say after I'm involved in a hockey game, after the first period, all the shots are about 12-5, and they're either 11-6 or
13-9 or whatever. Yeah,
right. I'm watching. I know, right? So the big stat for me, and I want you guys and I want our listeners and our viewers to when you watch hockey, I want you to watch this stat, and I'm a believer that this is the only stat that matters. Does anybody know what it is?
It's going to be the scoreboard.
Goals?
Nope.
Hit me. What do you got?
Loose pucks. 50-50 pucks. Okay? Doesn't matter what zone. Puck's loose, and it's a toss-up. Either Toronto's going to get it or Vegas is going to get it, right? The team that gets to that loose puck more in a hockey game than the other team, I would say 90 times out of 100 will win that game.
It's effort-based.
That's getting to the puck.
It's effort-based.
Getting to the puck first.
Yeah.
Taking a hit to make a play, right? A lot of guys in this new NHL, and there's 3 or 4 of them on the Leafs.
Do you remember William Nylander from 2 years ago in the playoffs?
Yeah. Takes the long way in because he doesn't want to pay
the icing. Took the icing, right. Remember?
Yeah. He doesn't want to pay the price. Now, I watch that stat in whether I'm watching my son play or little guys play or I watch it. That's the one. If a puck's loose, I'm keeping it in my head. And very, very seldom does that stat lie. Plus minus lies. I watched there was, I don't know which game it was, but it was quite profound. If you watched it, Toronto dominant, or it wasn't, might have been Vegas. I think it was Vegas, and the offensive time zone was almost equal.
Oh, the first period was stupid. Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, what? Like, that's a crazy stat because Toronto's had to play the whole game. But they're, you know what I mean? You can misconstrue based on some of these things. But that's a stat that I truly believe in. Loose pucks, 50-50 pucks, the team that gets to that puck first, more often than not in a hockey game will win the hockey game. And forget about level of the team. I've seen really poor teams execute that strategy and just, outwork them and get there first and beat a team that they had no business beating. And that's why.
And so while we're on the subject of stats, I just want to bring this up because I had a very interesting debate with somebody this week about new age stats. And I got called a dinosaur, and I can't understand conceptual math, which may be very fair for those people that do know me. Conceptual math and me, not the favorite. What is your feeling on expected goals and expected saves?
I get why they're there. I understand that, there's a lot of good that comes out of this advanced analytics, because at the end of the day, you've got a lot more different people looking and watching a hockey game different than before. And the guys that are doing it, I have a former player of mine that works for the Calgary Flames, and he's in their analytics department. And he's a student of the game, and these guys, they're not just computer geeks that are the analytics guys. Some are doing math and bar graphs and pivot tables, and they're bringing stuff out to the coaches. That there's coaches like Talkett and some of the old school guys are like, what the hell is going on? And they're trying to tell you. But at the end of the day, it's still a human game. It's still you know what? We're going to be braver and more tenacious than you. That's gonna I think translate to more success. Certainly in playoff hockey, right? Because it's two different games. You can keep all these advanced stats and expected blah blah blah. You're talking about a game in the regular season that is a different game than is in the playoffs.
For sure it is.
So you can't tell me that something that's happening in November 15th is gonna Anyway, I told you the stat that I care about. I'll look at stats. I'll look at a media guide at a game. I'll go to a game, look at the media guide, and I'll kind of go through it. And I look for anomalies, right? I'll look for something that stands out, and then I'll maybe look at that. But no, I'm an old school guy. I believe, we've got to be, we've got to be tough.
I'm with you.
We got to play through injury or, play through, minor ailments to, show what we're worth. And, it's a long drawn out process, but I really like the way this team's going right now. And, they've proven to themselves more than anything.
They can.
What they're capable of doing. So now, you'll have some hiccups, but I think what I want to do at this point is stay healthy. Keep moving some stuff around that, these little subtle changes that may or may not work. Don't be afraid. Don't rest on your laurels now, I guess would be my advice to the group. Don't sit here now and say, okay, we're not going to change anything up because we're playing so good. You know what? You can always play better. You don't need the wins over the next, say, 2 weeks that you might have thought you did 2 weeks ago. Let's put it that way, right? This 4 games stretch here, if they come out of that 0-4, there's no need to fret, right? Because you're playing, and now everybody likes to play Toronto and everybody likes to beat Toronto. So, now that they're kind of back, now they're climbing up the power rankings. They've got their odds to win the cup are going up. All these variables come out, and it gives some of these other teams a little bit extra gumption to come in and, hey, we got to shut up Leaf Nation, right? Because it's big and it's powerful, and it's no different than the Yankees, like you said, or Man U, or you know what I mean? When you're the big dogs, and make no mistake, Toronto are the big dogs. There's not a fan base in hockey that's even close. Right? Go to the buildings out west in Canada, Montreal for sure.
Don't go to Winnipeg. You might not see anybody.
Yeah, no, well, they're in trouble. Yeah, that's gonna, Winnipeg. I don't know, man. They, the problem is not, the economy is awful right now. Groceries and just cost of living and everything and housing is going up. The wages are staying the same. And taxes are going up, right? You get all these different carbon and all these different things that are, affecting your bottom line at the end of the day. So the expendable income for, let's be honest.
Let's be honest. The real reason that Winnipeg's in trouble is Winnipeg does not have the corporate base.
Absolutely. Well,
right. And so like
never did though. But they sold 13 or 14,000 season tickets.
100%.
Still didn't have their corporate, but now they're not even doing that.
But now when the economy gets tough,
yeah,
and people don't have that expendable income to go back to,
they just don't.
You don't have the corporate base to fall back on to supplement. And like I've always said, for everybody that's pining away for Quebec City to get a team, it's not happening.
It's not going to happen. I think they'll end up losing Winnipeg. I just do. And it'll be a shame, but you're bang on about the corporate money.
It's not there. There's just not enough. There's just not enough business.
No, and that's a good hockey club too. It's a shame because that's a team that could win.
Listen, we haven't talked a lot about Winnipeg. I mean, it's a Leaf show, but Winnipeg is a surprise, right? Like
absolutely.
Winnipeg is as much a surprise as Vancouver is. If we're going to be honest about it. Nobody pegged Winnipeg.
I'd rather play Vancouver than Winnipeg. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think I would too. Connor Hellebuck is the reason.
He's the best goalie in the world.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, he can Vasilevsky you at any point in time, and it does not matter.
I think he's been consistently better than Vasilevsky. His team wasn't as good as Vasilevsky's that got him to the promised land. He's been, if you look statistically at his numbers,
I can't get there. I can't get there. Listen, I'm not knocking Connor Hellebuck. He's a very good goalie. He's a fine goalie.
You swap Hellebuck and Vasilevsky, and he's got the same amount of cups.
That's fair. So while we're on the goalie topic, I think we should move on to so Joseph Woll's come back soon. He's on his way back, being recalled. So what do you guys think is going to happen there with Martin Jones being put back on waivers, maybe keeping 3 goalies up? What do you guys think?
Okay,
I'd keep 3, and I'd go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and let's see who's going to win the most hockey games, and that's who plays. And I'd tell them that. Hey guys, you're all value to us. You've all stepped up when we needed you. Woll, you're back. You're healthy. Here's what we're doing. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and see where we are.
But if you keep 3 goalies, then at the deadline, like that $800K that Jones is making could be very valuable.
So listen,
adding in someone else.
No, it's a valid point. And so I think what Johnny's saying is right now where we're at, right? Listen, for those people that don't follow the Marlies or don't pay necessarily attention to what's going on, Woll had a conditioning stint on Saturday night, I believe. I think they played Scranton or somebody. Stopped 35 of 36 shots. Marlies won 4-1. He looked great by all accounts. Lateral movement was fantastic. Going to his left side, there was no concern. So I hear a lot about people saying, oh, you can't rush him back. And, he might not be 100%. Listen, the Maple Leafs are not bringing Joseph Woll in right now if he's not 100%. I'm telling you that without a shadow of a doubt. Guy's been gone since, the beginning of time. He's taken his time to get back. High ankle sprains are tough. It's got nothing to do with his body. His body is fine. It's lateral movement. That's what they're worried about with this kid. By all accounts, he's fine. He's been practicing. He's ready to go. So for anybody that's watching, take a deep breath. He's okay. He's 100%. They wouldn't put him in a game if he wasn't. Now, when we get into Samsonov, Jones, Woll, let's be clear about what's going to happen here. it is going to be the Samsonov Woll show as we go into the playoffs. Martin Jones will be traded before the end of the year. Okay. He will be on the roster for the next month. They're not going to take it makes zero sense to take a tradable asset and put him on waivers now on the next 3 weeks when he's controllable and you can get something for him. And there's teams, be it New Jersey, be it Carolina, be it LA. LA is starting David Rittich in goal.
Why would you trade him?
Why wouldn't you trade him?
To get something back for him rather than losing for nothing.
Why
There's
wouldn't
no
you trade him?
waivers.
The goalie market right now is empty. The goalie market is empty.
I get that, but what? So you're fine with Woll and Samsonov, who have both.
You know what? It's gonna blow my mind that I'm saying this, but yeah, I feel like I am.
No, I need a third option, man. I need a third option.
Your third option is Hildebeest.
Hasn't played a minute. No.
He's looked fine at the pro level, John.
We were talking about trading for Fleury, looking at, even last year, looking at some of the rentals that were out there.
Hold on.
Martin Jones is a rental.
Have you ever heard me say that I was willing to trade for Theo or for Marc-Andre Fleury?
No, I'm saying we were talking about them bringing in a veteran goaltender to be. I think I said on one of the shows, Martin Jones is basically what you're going to get out there with some
100%.
guy that's. So I keep him.
But hold on. Do we not hold on? Because I think this is a real important conversation. Do we? And listen, I'm going to be the first guy to eat my hat on this. I said Ilya Samsonov was done and couldn't play anymore and shouldn't be on the team. God love him. Ilya Samsonov looks like he's figured it out. Now, I don't know whether he's figured it out upstairs. It's the commitment to defensive hockey that has really helped him with that. But there has been a noticeable, discernible change with the way Samsonov has played. And let's be honest, I for me at least, Joseph Woll is a better goaltender straight up than Samsonov is by everything that I've seen thus far. So if Woll can come back and be the Joseph Woll that he was before he was injured, to me, I'm fine with starting Joseph Woll. I have no I'm comfortable.
Oh, I'm fine with that too. My point is, you got Woll coming off a major injury that's kept him out for a while.
Yeah, it's a legitimate
Samsonov that could go cuckoo at any time and forget how to stop when he's going east west. But then you want to play Hildeby in the second round against.
I mean, but listen, does it not all depend on what you can get for Martin Jones?
You're not going to get anything. You're a fourth rounder for Martin Jones.
Do you really think that?
Yes.
Wow. Like with the
you're not going to get. You're not going to get anything more than a fourth rounder and
okay, so I'll agree with you. Listen, I'll agree with you. If the answer is you get a fourth round pick for Martin Jones, then you keep Martin Jones.
Yeah, no team's trading for Jones to come in and be the starter.
Hold on though. You don't think with the way Martin Jones has played right now that if you were New Jersey or hold on, does it?
If he was 30, maybe, but he's not. Hold
on. If you were the Los Angeles Kings right now, are you telling me if the playoffs started today, you would feel more comfortable with David Rittich in goal than Martin Jones?
They also have Cam Talbot too.
Yeah, but you know what? David Rittich is starting over Cam Talbot.
Yeah, but Dave.
Cam Talbot, Dave Rittich, and Martin Jones, I feel like they're all kind of the same tier.
Big save, Dave.
Second, third string goalies.
I don't know, boys.
It's not going to matter who's in the net as long as they play the right way. But I want to have that third option. I want to have somebody that's won some games in the National Hockey League.
All right, there it is.
Yeah.
We got controversy with goalies on TML Weekly. I love it.
What else do we got here?
So just before we move on, I actually got a quick cool stat I saw earlier today. It's on Twitter or X, if you want to call it that. Sportsnet Stats, they get the credit for this. The The Leafs are the only team in the league to feature 3 goalies with 8+ wins this year. Samsonov 14, Jones 11, Woll 8. Just thought that was an interesting little stat.
Yep.
I'll give you a better stat. Do you want a better stat? The Leafs are the first team in 30 years to not have a shutout in 200 consecutive games. Saw that the other day. I really hope it's true because I didn't fact check it. So I really hope it's true.
Didn't they win 1-0 in overtime earlier in the year too?
Yeah, against Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's right.
Not long ago.
That would have busted. I remember talking about it that night.
Yeah.
They were over.
So listen, but listen, before we get into predictions, I can't even believe we've done 51 minutes on a Maple Leafs broadcast, and we have not talked about the Savior.
It's not much to say other than that he's.
Okay, so let me ask you this question because I've debated this with a few people this week.
Sorry, are you talking about Bobby McMann or Austin Matthews?
No, not Bobby McMatthews. No, not Bobby McMatthews. I'm talking about the Savior himself. If he scores 70, is he the MVP of the league?
I think he's the MVP anyway. I think if he gets 60, 65, I mean, he's doing things right now that, I was trying to explain. Somebody said, well, Teemu Selanne had 76 in his rookie year. Yeah. And the goalies were half the size, right? The equipment, that they wore. I mean, you could score. There was marginal players scoring 40 goals back then, right? There would be 15 or
didn't Jimmy Carson score 70 goals one year?
Yeah, there'd be 15, 18 guys. There'd be 15, 18 guys every year that had 50, right? 50 is a big deal now. And the clip he's doing it for he's changed his game. He's even more dangerous now because he doesn't wait for that perfect setup like that. He scored 4 or 5 goals from the corner,
from the goal line, John.
Left of the goal line, by
100%.
just firing it almost like a pass, hard, right? So the goalie's waiting for this big toe drag release snapper under the bar, and before all of a sudden the puck's going, in off his skate, right? He's doing special things, and you know what? I think he should win the Selke. I mean, his defensive game is so underrated.
Is there a better two-way? Like, if we're being honest, because let's remember 3 or 4 years ago, remember the knock on Matthews? He's putting the puck in the net, but defensively,
I never heard
the
that.
league in block shots.
I would have argued that from his rookie year. He was the most defensively responsible superstar rookie that came into the league, and
John. I mean, he's leading forwards and block shots. He does
shot takeaways.
He does everything.
Look at those loose puck stat I told you about.
I believe you.
50-50 puck, he gets them. They're his.
Yeah, I believe you. And listen, you'll never hear me say a negative thing about that man.
He's on a heater, and he's got the team on his back, and he scores when it seems like he scores when he needs to as well. He doesn't get the Max Domi 7th goal in a 7-1 game. No, he's getting when we're down 4-2, he's getting 3 and 4.
Exactly.
No, he's and the other guys are. So before the predictions, you had something else, but I just want to touch guys quickly on Ottawa, okay? Because
this is hot rumors, Johnny.
Yeah, you can go back to previous years, and I've really liked the Tkachuks, both, right? On the record, hey, those guys could play on my team anytime. I'm really disappointed in Brodie, and I know I'm hearing that the Ottawa front office is also he's turned it into a little bit of a sideshow every night, right? And John, you made a good point this afternoon that they're winning right now, but they haven't all year. I think that the new ownership and the new front office, Steve Staios and his group are very tired of Brady's act. I think you can look at a couple of instances. So you got Stutzler that dives all over the place, right? Constant. If he had a good captain in that room, that wouldn't happen. He wouldn't be doing that on Pittsburgh, right?
No.
He wouldn't have been doing that with Johnny Tay's Chicago or Anze Kopitar's LA. That's not going to happen, right? Ridley Gregg might not have taken the clapper into the empty net if he had a solid leader.
It's
so
very interesting to have Giroux on that team.
When you're lead, yeah, exactly. And Giroux, if you saw his face at the end of that,
That's what I'm saying, though, right? Like Giroux's been a captain in this league for years.
Yeah.
And just to jump in, I'll let you get back to it. But I think it was important because Giroux, from my understanding, after that Leaf game with Greg, lost his crap in the dressing room.
Yeah. So did the front office. They
you know what I mean? About
he was
that's
brought
not
in,
how we
he
play.
was brought in with Steos and Jacques Martin after the game.
No, I believe that.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm hearing that if the right offer was there, the Ottawa Senators are ready to move on from Brady Tkachuk. So that brings, Florida, will be in the talks.
Barkov?
Right? That's what I thought right away. 1 for 1. Ottawa wins that deal, but do they?
But Brady, do they? Right? If he's playing with his brother,
right? Yeah.
Does that bring him to
a good deal for
both of them to another level?
If you could somehow think that you could figure out Pierre-Luc Dubois, you could probably get a pretty good package from LA. If you could figure out, you take Pierre-Luc Dubois back to Ottawa, close to home. He's a Montreal guy. And yeah, I mean, he's struggling, obviously. They'd have to give a lot more than him, right? A couple first rounders, because LA'd love to get rid of that contract.
Oh.
So if LA could get rid of him and a couple first rounders and a roster player.
He on the fourth line now, playing like 8 minutes or 10 minutes a night. Like it's shocking.
He's a good hockey player. I think
LA can take back Korpisalo from Ottawa to even out the cap. Kind of.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Korpisalo's got a big ticket.
Anyway, stay tuned. Yeah. Stay tuned over there. It's going to get interesting in Ottawa here over the next little while.
That is. I remember when you dropped that this morning at about 9:00, and I was drinking coffee, and I swear I almost dropped the coffee on the floor when I read that. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" But to me, listen. Ottawa's Ottawa, man. They're like, I don't know what they're doing. And
past couple of years, they always get hot
back. Yeah, at the end of the season, and they're late. And they make you think that they're there. But listen, if I'm a GM and I've got a chance to get my hands on a Tkachuk, I'm in. I'm in.
It depends on the leadership in my room, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. He's a young guy. They're fiery. But you know what, though, John? They play on the line no different than the way that Kadri did, no different than the way that Tikkanen did back in the day. No, like guys like that are always, sometimes you got to reel them back in. But my God, you want that guy on your team.
Yeah. He'll get you 90
how many of those guys that you just said were the captain of their team?
None of them.
None of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that roll, that sideshow clown, get in there, punch somebody in the face every whistle. Not saying that there's not room for that guy on my hockey team.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if that's the guy that's the standard of how my team should behave, Tim Stutzle's not diving. Ridley Gregg's not taking clappers into an empty net, because there's a culture in place that behavior wouldn't be tolerated.
You're not wrong.
And so if I have a good leader like an Anze Kopitar in LA, right? The problem is if you send Tkachuk to Florida for Barkov, but I've heard really good things about the two Sams.
Reinhardt.
Yeah, Reinhardt and Bennett have really, really taken over that room. They're real glue guys, and the Reinhardt he grew up in the game, right? His dad played, and two brothers, were first rounders, second rounders, and they play the game the right way, and I think Brady Tkachuk could be a very valuable part of any team in the NHL. Probably a top 15 player.
Yeah.
But he's got to, and I'm surprised that his dad hasn't grabbed him by the ear and said, hey, you know what? Start winning some hockey games. Right?
Unless maybe he wants out of Ottawa.
Well, that could be very well the case too, right?
You know
I think the ultimate goal is to have both boys in St. Louis, I heard, right? Because that's where
that's hometown.
That's where Walt lives, and that's where the kids grew up. And
yeah,
I coached against those two kids. I was coaching in Calgary, and I had the Makar kid and Jake Bean and the Kachucks and Jeff Brown brought a group up to play in a tournament in Calgary. So got to see them when they were young, and they could play then.
Listen, Jake McCabe just saved a goal. That was fantastic. If you're watching for those people that are streaming the game right now, 8 minutes gone in the first period. Leafs look great.
Okay,
so we're gonna do some rapid fire now with Nolan, Nolan? Some rapid.
All right, Nolan.
Keep it quick and get here for the game. But so it looks like the Leafs will end up playing one of the Panthers, Bruins, or Rangers in the first round of the playoffs. If you had the choice, who would you prefer to play? For me, I'd pick Boston. Look at the recent struggles, and I think they're finally beginning to show the true colors with their lack of depth down the middle. John, who do you take?
I'd take. I'd agree and go Boston, but don't rule this team out of winning this division.
All right, I'm taking the Rangers. Anybody that's a Leaf fan knows you stay the hell away from Boston if you can at all times, every time. Florida's going to kill us. They play too heavy. I'll take the Rangers, even though the goalie terrifies me.
Right. Okay, so I'll get into – I posted on Instagram earlier asking our followers. 13% voted Panthers, 47% voted the Bruins, 27% Rangers, and other was 13%. So I think the Bruins is the consensus around our followers at least. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's kind of whoever finishes second, I guess.
Look at the standings.
I don't care what the standings say. You don't understand. I don't care. Boston against Toronto. I know what the history is. It doesn't matter.
No. I'm not talking about like that. I'm saying look at the standings. Toronto could win this division.
They could if they keep
and
on
they're playing a wild card on the other side. So that should be the other option. They're not as far out as you think. I was shocked. I looked at them today. I was like, oh my God, they're like 2 games, 3 games out.
Oh my!
Yeah, if they keep rolling, they can.
You stay on this heater, and those 2 teams struggle. They've almost caught Florida.
Yeah, Boston too. I saw the last 9 games they haven't won in regulation. Like they've won in overtime or lost, whatever. But yeah, so I think they're really starting to struggle.
Are you getting the standings up, John?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. Like you keep this heater going and win 16 to 18, man, you're in first place in the division.
Okay, so right now, as it currently stands, the Bruins have 82 points, but they played 60 games. So we got 3 games in hand. So we got 6 points. Let's say we run the table and we get all 6 points. We got 80 points. We're 2 points back of Boston.
Right.
We actually play them on Monday at home. So that'll be big. That's a 4-point game.
So listen, I'm just telling everybody, let's take a deep breath.
Then you know who you could have? Detroit. Tampa.
Well, I think we want Detroit. You don't want Tampa
either.
No, truthfully, if I'm being honest, I think I might even rather play Boston than play Tampa.
Really?
I'm just only because here's what I've learned from being a hockey fan for 45 years. The best goalie, if the best goalie is on, doesn't matter. And I don't care what anybody says. Vasilevsky, to me, in the playoffs, when he's healthy and he's on point, it doesn't matter. That's like until I see somebody else do what Vasilevsky's done on a regular basis for the last 5 years, when he's healthy, he wasn't necessarily healthy last year, but
right.
I don't know, man. Vasilevsky terrifies me.
I think finishing third would be a good thing kind of for the Leafs because last year at home in the playoffs, they were 1-5.
Yeah. Wow.
They won
Listen,
all
man,
games in Tampa.
You never want to
Yeah.
take that away, though.
Yeah,
You want to have that 7th game at home if you can.
for sure.
You know.
Well, you never know for the Leafs. 7 games,
Yeah.
maybe better to be.
Yeah, but listen, I guarantee you, I'm just telling you right now, if you've got to go 7 games in Boston, you better win in 6. You better win in 6.
Yeah. I've had some bad memories from TV Garden Game 7.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I'm getting heart palpitations now. I don't know what's going on.
All right, so let's get the point predictions out of the way, and we'll get out of here. So the week coming up, we got Vegas in town tonight, Arizona on Thursday, Rangers Saturday, and Boston on Monday. All in Toronto, so all home games back at home. I'm going to go 5 points out of possible 8. What do you guys think?
I'll go 6.
Boys, I got to do it. I got to say, 93-94, we started the season 10-0. We set a record. I haven't come this far to quit now. I'm telling you, we're going to run the table. We're going to get all the points. We're going to set a new record. I feel good about it. I feel confident about it. And I want to go on record. I will tell you, it's all due to coaching.
Well, if we do get that all 4 games, like you think, John, that'll be an 11-game win streak, and that'll be the longest win streak in the last 50 years for the Leafs.
All time.
Yeah, they had a 10. They had a 10 in 93, 94. One of them.
Yeah, start the season.
Yeah, 10 in a row. Yeah.
All right, boys, let's get we got for those that are watching at home, by the way, shout outs to our sponsors, Bjorn Hockey, Don Cherry Sports Bar and Grill. You got 11 minutes gone in the first period. No score, Leafs in Vegas. Shots are even. Leafs look good. Go Leafs,
Right,
go.
Well, the game's on. Let's get a goal prediction. One guy to score tonight.
Matthews.
Bobby McMatthews.
Okay, I'll go Nylander. We'll end on that.
All right, boys, go Leafs, go.
See you guys next week.